Did anyone else find the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives reunion a little frustrating? The one thing I really wanted to know about, which is the Jesse Marciano affair, they couldn't even talk about because that's what season 3 is going to be about. So we ended up getting into some very heavy, triggering topics, and I guess I'm happy that they got to share, but my goodness. But yeah, I feel like they didn't do a reunion season 1, probably for the same reason that they probably shouldn't have done a reunion for season 2. I didn't feel like there was a lot of resolution anyway. It was kind of rehashing the same points and got nowhere. But we did learn a lot about some of them. Also, the Valley. Is it working? Is it a good show? I'm having a hard time with it. I don't know if Zach can save it because I don't really know if there's anything else there besides the toxicity. And now that Kristen is like trying to get pregnant and she's just not the biggest mess, and just the way the group is divided, Jesse's really toxic, but Michelle is also just like not good TV. So like maybe there is a reason for them to talk about a reboot. But I don't think after 2 seasons you could even call it a reboot. After 2 seasons, just cancel the show and do something different. Because it's not like we have a long-standing history with any of them, So that's what I'm doing today. Today I'm giving you a little double feature recap because I didn't think the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives reunion was worthy of that much conversation. And same thing with this episode of The Valley. So I'll put timestamps you can skip if you don't need to hear it. But I just was kind of like, okay, I don't really know. I can't fill up a whole episode with each topic. So I'm just going to put them together and that's what I'm going to do. All right. So before I get into that, though, make sure you are subscribed and following the show. And I love you. And now let's do it. All right, let's start with the heavy. Let's start with Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. So Demi wasn't there, but her reason for not being there was so silly and honestly unprofessional. She claims it's because they had a trip to Disneyland planned as a family. But I was like, okay, all right. I don't know. Maybe these are tickets that are totally not refundable or interchangeable, or I don't know what. But, okay. Whitney and Demi are very close. I don't know if I've discussed that on the pod yet, but Whitney and Demi are now besties. But you will see Whitney struggle with maintaining this blind loyalty throughout the reunion. It's like Whitney knows that she needs someone, an ally, and she's like, perfect. Demi's the outcast. I'm the outcast. I'll do it. We'll link up. Because Whitney wants to be judgmental. She does, but she has to pretend like she would not. No, I mean, yeah, it's not great, but we'll get into that. The big thing that they can't talk about is the Jesse Marciano rumored affair, alleged affair. Now, I'm gonna stick with what I thought. After Sheena came out with her story of when she partied with them and Marciano went back to Jesse's hotel and Jesse lied about it, was like, oh no, he was hooking up with someone else in West Hollywood and I just let him crash in the room or whatever. After that story, I'm like, okay, I think there was something. And I think I can still gather that from what Jesse does say. Because at one point, Nick says, did it happen during Vanderpump Villa? And she says, no, it was a while after. It was a while after. And she says, but then you see in the trailer for this coming season, which should be airing in fall. That's the rumor. You see in the trailer that there's an on-camera scene with Jesse saying to Marciano, why did you lie about us? And I don't know if that's just staged or whatever, but and I don't know if the lie would constitute just maybe embellishing more beyond what it was. I don't know. But I'm annoyed because I kind of was like, that's sort of what we were here for. And then no Demi's not there. It's like, so what the hell? It was a little frustrating. But the other topic that can be discussed is Demi and Marciano, because that was the big point of contention, right? According to everyone, there was a lot of flirting, so much so even the workers, as they called them, from Vanderpump Villa thought that Demi was doing a lot. And Michaela and Demi actually got into a fight while they were there because Michaela was trying to be like, this is going to look different than you think it's going to look. Like, it's going to look pretty flirtatious for a married woman. And Demi got very defensive and said that I know the boundaries of my marriage, you don't, whatever. So they got in a fight over that there. Well, Jesse then at the reunion busts out receipts and these screenshots, these text messages between Marciano and Demi. And they're sexual in nature. They were. It was Demi being overly suggestive and sexual, unprompted. Well, not unprompted. I'm sure everything Marciano does has like a hint of flirtation to it, even though he's like, I'm not even flirting. I'm not even doing anything. But Demi, it's a picture of oysters, I think that they're referring to. And Demi says in response, gross, it's like swallowing cum. It was really awkward because Nick Viall had to read it out loud. Jesse handed that over to Nick Viall and he's like, thanks. Now I gotta say this on camera. So it was a lot. And then like sent a bunch of, then like an eggplant emoji and a water, like the splash emoji and a clam emoji, which could have just been because of the oysters, but that's just very suggestive choice of eggplant usage at this moment in time. It was flirtatious and like, but also very immature. They all are very immature, very like young in the way they do stuff. And that's something that I would have done in like high school. You know what I mean? Like to be, that shock value that you go for when you're younger and inexperienced, But regardless, it shows that Demi was clearly not afraid of bringing up sexual things with Marciano. And so that's where the boundaries came up. So they'd shown the text messages and Nick would not get off of Whitney's neck. Nick had like his eyes on her and he was like, I will get her to acknowledge that she is not taking accountability. But he asks Whitney if those text messages are something that she would think is okay to do as a married woman. And Whitney's like, I mean, don't love it. Like, it's not great. Like, I wouldn't send it. But then she says, but I don't like how she's being treated. And all of them are like, first of all, she's not even here. So this is weird. But then she brings up some People magazine shoot and says that Taylor mocked Demi because something about the posing or whatever. And then Jesse laughed and Jesse goes, and I do it again. And Whitney goes, what the hell, Jesse? What did she do to you? And I died because Jesse had such real answers. She goes, contracts, hair, throwing me under the bus, trying to get me kicked off the show. And Whitney just doesn't respond. She's like, well, fine. Those are things. Those are okay. But this will happen a couple times where Whitney's like, oh, really? Like, what's the big deal? And then the person responds with something that's like, you can't really argue that, huh? And then she's just like, all right, we're going to move on and just pretend she didn't say it. I didn't mind Whitney during the season 2, but I did not enjoy. I saw the Whitney I didn't like in season 1 come out in the reunion. I just didn't. I get that she was getting kind of ganged up on, but she really just doesn't like take the full. I don't know exactly. I don't want to say the word accountability because I'm sick of hearing that word and saying that word, but something. It's like she doesn't fully process, but then she's like, I have. And it's just interesting. Anyway. Jesse says that Demi and Whitney got close over their common enemy, Taylor. And Whitney's like, it wasn't a common enemy. We came together. And then they're like all filling it in because you hated Taylor. She's like, no. She can't even argue. And Nick says, do you think Demi is an honest person? And Whitney says, I mean, yeah, I would hope so. That is the weirdest answer. It's that kind of stuff. I would hope so. It's like, what? Yeah, duh. But like, it's a question. Do you think she's a what? You know what I'm saying? All right. So then they get to Jesse. You're not wearing your wedding ring. And so then Nick says, did you have sex with Marciano? And this is what Jesse said. I wrote it down just so that we could have whatever evidence we could pull together. I have it down. She says, so a lot of this story is unpacked in season 3, so I can't talk about it yet. There's a lot more to the story, and it's not what you think it is. And then she says, there are no secrets. We're exposing it all in season 3. Okay, cool. That's it. That's all we get. That's it. So annoying. But I'm sticking with, I think that there was an affair because I have been believing that this whole time, which was a shock, which is a twist we did not expect. And we'd really, I think we all wanted to blame Marciano and be like, oh, he's just thirsty. And I saw a lot of people say that Demi and Marciano met up and discussed having this storyline and dropping this bomb or whatever. That one doesn't hold water for me. That why would Marciano want to like fuck over Jesse just to help Demi out? That doesn't really make sense. But now Marciano is not cool with Demi because Demi's framed it as a sexual assault, which obviously puts him in a real fucked up position. So he has been talking about it online. I mean, all he's really been doing is showing DMs, like receipts that they're cool. Like if there was some sort of assault, why were we still talking and communicating even after they left the villa? Type of a thing. So they're not cool. So but I'm sticking with, I think that Jesse and him had some kind of a something. And maybe that's little clip from the trailer for next season is something like, you lied about the extent of it. Because she does say, why did you lie about us on camera in that trailer? Really throwing me off. Taylor, honestly, I don't care. Taylor goes over the swinging thing again, and they talk about how Mom Talk got started. And I was like, I don't even care. But I was surprised that Layla had been struggling to buy groceries for her kids. And then they get this Mom Talk thing and she gets her first brand deal. And it was like a light at the end of the tunnel post-divorce. I was like, oh my God, that's serious. Like, no wonder she's so grateful for the opportunity. That really paints a picture. Okay, but then we get into Michaela versus Whitney. This was frustrating. I don't understand Michaela's energy. It's coming across mean, but maybe Whitney is just really good at playing the victim. So like, you know, when cameras are off and the way she acts outside of it, but then now that she's on, I don't know. But Michaela's energy was just very mean to me. And Whitney just seemed sort of like she was floundering. And I don't know if that's the right impression to have. I feel like I'm missing something, but I feel like Michaela was being kind of just mean about it. Okay, then they talk about Connor's porn addiction. They go into very heavy topics. I'm not going to go into what Connor ends up discussing because it's just very triggering and heavy. And I'm like, I don't really want to recap that. But let's get to the part where I really wanted to discuss, which is when Zach and Jen join them on the stage and bust out quite a receipt against Demi. So I'm going to go ahead and just insert a video that I already posted on social media. So it might be a repeat if you've already seen it, but it sums up what is discussed in the reunion. And I kind of don't feel like repeating it. So I'm just going to insert that right here. Jen showed up to the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives reunion with pretty damning evidence against Demi. When Demi framed what happened in Vanderpump Villa as an assault, there's been effort from some to try to clear their name. Marciano's posted some TikToks. And then at the start of the reunion, Jesse shared screenshots of text messages between Marciano and Demi that were pretty sexual in nature.
She responds, "It's no different than swallowing."
But then Jen and Zach bust out their receipts. So this is what Zach said. There was a conversation with the 4 of them, Brett, Demi, Jen, and Zach. And Demi was mad at Jen, saying, "How dare you accuse me? I'm a victim." So Zach says they got in the car, and then as they're driving home, they get a phone call from Brett and Demi. And Brett said, we need to figure out this whole victim thing because he didn't like that Demi had said victim. Zach, remembering how Demi had spoken about her best friend Jessie, was like, I'm going to record this conversation to cover our own backs. In the recording, you hear Demi say, the takeaway should be this. Demi and I have very different ideas and different boundaries in our marriages. And what I value and really appreciate is the open and honest communication that Demi and Brett share. This is what she was feeding to Jen to say. I think it's amazing, and it's something that I admire, and I may have jumped the gun in judging her about that, and it wasn't fair for me to hold that over her head. And then you hear Brett say, we need to address that buzzword, victim. And Jen is like, I think I'm just going to let you explain it because it was your experience and what you went through. I mean, I have my truth. Then Demi says, I think it's something as simple as Demi confided in me and I regret not respecting that. And I don't feel comfortable talking about it any further. Zach says that it was like a 30-minute conversation. And when it was clear Jen was not just going to say what Demi was scripting out for her, then the cease and desist. I don't think that Demi actually sent a cease and desist, like a formal one. I think she just threatened that if you don't say what I want you to say, I will send you a cease and desist. That's pretty damning because it really does show that she wasn't talking about what happened in Vanderpump Villa, even offline, as if it was a true assault that needed to be handled as such. And it also shows that even Brett's like, yeah, can we talk about this whole victim work? Because Zach theorizes that Brett was worried that we, the audience, would see the footage and be like, no, she's not. And that's kind of a big deal to call herself one when she's not. So, yeah. So it's pretty freaking problematic that Demi was crafting this whole narrative and alluding to her being a victim, like intentionally not saying victim. And that's why it's been so confusing because she hasn't talked about it in a way that feels like this was an assault, but yet she's alluded to it being an assault and then outright said an assault when she was on Nick Viall. Because now it makes more sense because she's like, I don't really want to say a victim, but like let's frame it like that because then we can't talk about it kind of a thing. And also the script she was mapping out for Jen, it was like, ew, you want me to be like, Brett and Demi have the best relationship. I don't know why I said anything about it. I was wrong. I actually admire them and their relationship and their honesty. Get out of here. Get out of here already. But yeah, that was the only part that I thought was the big reveal for sure. Because that was a smoking gun if I ever heard or saw one. What? But that's all I have to say. I don't want to get into all the other like heavy stuff. Also, the Taylor Dakota thing, my God, I can't watch it anymore. I can't. You could see the exhaustion from everyone else. They're like, please just break up. My God, stop having sex. Please. But yeah. But then also Layla gets into very, very heavy stuff. And it's all important. And I really care about it. But I don't want to recap it. It was just a lot. Okay. So that's Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Now let's talk about the Valley. I don't know if this is because I've always been an anxious person, but when I hear something can help my gut, I'm always interested. A balanced gut microbiome is like my holy grail, except I don't love the idea of changing everything I eat in order to get there, you know? Z-Biotics Sugar to Fiber converts some of the extra sugar from the food you're already eating into a beneficial prebiotic called Levan. This is a genetically engineered probiotic drink. Sugar to Fiber produces an enzyme called Levan sucrose. It breaks down sugar into its molecular building blocks and then stacks those blocks back together to make fiber. Science! So I have started drinking Z-Biotics Sugar to Fiber every day because I like having a way to get closer to my daily recommended dose of fiber without needing to change my diet. So sugar to fiber is actually taking something that I'm eating and changing it to a different route, a healthier outcome. I don't have to add something to my new routine. I used to add a pack of sugar to fiber in my smoothies, but I haven't been doing smoothies. So now I just get a big mason jar full of really cold water and add a pack to that. Gut health is very important to me. Adding sugar to fiber to my daily routine is easy, and it helps ensure that I'm getting the diversity of fiber my body needs. Go to zbiotics.com/shespeaks and use She Speaks at checkout for 15% off any first-time orders of ZBiotics probiotics. ZBiotics has a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this episode. Does this group not really work? You know, the jacks of it all, it's just too much. We don't want it anymore, so that's okay. And it's really sick how much they've been protecting him. That's true. But Jesse is such a loose cannon. His drinking problem is not being addressed enough because that man is a mess. Like the whole thing with the flowers, like let's get 5,000 petals of lotus, whatever the hell he was doing, he was wasted. In the after show, they show more of him like calling the front. And the poor people who work there, anyone who comes into Jesse's line of sight when he's in that mode, like he's just a mess. And so it's just like a darkness. And Zach can't save it. You know, Zach's trying to do what he can, but I don't think Zach can save it. Let's talk about Michelle, Aaron, and Jesse. You guys know by now I don't like Jesse. I don't think we need to rehash that. And if you don't know about it because you're new here, I don't like Jesse. And I have a lot of opinions about him. But I'm on his side with the whole thing with Aaron posting Isabella on his Instagram. I'm very much on Jesse's side. And I'm weirded out by Michelle because then in the after show, Michelle's like, she's so difficult to listen to. I'm sorry. I know some people love her and they get like a little defensive when I talk about her, but I'm sorry. I don't know if it's a me thing, but her voice is very, very challenging. Okay. But she says that it was no big deal. Aaron just posted it because it was a nice picture of all of them. I'm like, whoa, no, I think it's crazy that you think it's not, you need to have a conversation with your spouse. This is the kid. This is a child. I don't think that a child should be even posted about by anybody but the parents. And even though Michelle was in that picture, I was still like, this is it. And I also don't like that Aaron's taken Isabella to church and all that stuff's not being discussed. I just assumed because Michelle's been talking about church so much that she's always gone to church. But I think it might just be a new thing with Aaron, which I'm not trying to say anything bad about church, but also like taking my daughter to church and posting about it. I feel like it's a lot of crossing boundaries. I think Aaron is kind of weird. Those eyes are alarming. And Michelle's very immature with him. Remember when she was talking about moving in because if we move in and are engaged, it would be fine. And she was kind of, I don't know, it was just very she's very childish, it feels. And so I know some people have just been like, I'm not cool with Michelle. Whenever I try to say that I don't like Jesse, people they'd like to say, but also Michelle, she's got her things. And I haven't really seen her things. I honestly haven't until this one. And now I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Like, I would not post that. I would tell my partner, don't post my daughter. And she's like, and in the after show, she's like, I didn't know it was Father's Day. It's not my job to keep him aware of that or something. I'm like, it was Father's Day. You knew it was Father's. That's probably why you guys went over there. I'm sure you went over to his parents' house because it was right. So I was grossed out by that. And also, I gotta say, when Jesse confronts Aaron about like, did you have anything going on when we were still married? Did you cross a line? Aaron was like, no. All I did one time was message her to come up to Runyon Canyon because I was selling honey. And I'm like, so you had each other's numbers. There's no reason for you. You don't have a child. It's not like you have any other connection other than you guys would have liked each other. So you just having her number and being like, come and do. So now I'm like, oh, fuck. Not like it matters because Jesse sucks, but this is weird. It's weird. He was like, no, just this one time and this other time. I don't know. It still sounds like you maybe, but I don't like any of them. I don't like any of them. Oh, God. Like, I really don't like Michelle. Like, when Michelle comes on my screen, I'm like, oh, my God, I don't want to listen to her. I'm sorry. I know that's so mean, but she's just like cold and I don't know. I don't know. So, yeah, there's that going on. Oh, also, this back to Jesse's drinking problem. The story that Michelle and Jesse told about how 2 weeks before their wedding, they were on some trip and drunk-ass Jesse tried to do some yoga move and fell into a glass table, cut his head, was bleeding from his head, and they had to call 911. And when they got there, house music was playing and like a strobe light was going. And I'm like, you didn't turn that off by the time they got there? Also, the nightmare, I can see it. I can see it. Like, Michelle must have liked to party. Michelle must have liked to, like, get down and dirty and drink and, maybe do some drugs. Because that's what that sounded like. Just pretend he didn't hurt himself. Pretend it was just, like, lights off, house music in a hotel. But, like, he's drunk enough to be like, oh, let me do a handstand right next to a glass table. He's got a drinking problem. 100%. Absolutely. But the big thing that happened this episode is the proposal. I know everyone thought it was so cute, and I know Kristen thinks it was so cute. I thought it was just the sloppiest proposal in the world. I'm like, why do they need to go on a fishing boat? Why did it need to be on a fishing boat? Well, maybe they explained that, and maybe it was just to keep it a surprise that way. But like, and he was so nervous, and they got into a huge fight the night before. That's from the trailer where he's like, I just need you to be there for me, Kristen. It's because he's spiraling. He's freaking out about this proposal. It's like he bit off a lot more than he could chew. And I'm happy he got his moment. And it's cute and they're happy. And that's all that matters. But as someone who's watching it, I'm like, this was a mess. This was not something this isn't natural for him. And I think it was cute. He wanted to do it for the show, but also like that was tough. That was a small boat to be doing this with the crew in the proposal and like all of it. It was just like, it was destined for, yeah. And I don't know why Danny and Nia had to be there. I thought that was weird to include them so much. But then Brittany got upset. And I don't know. I get kind of what Luke means when he says that he didn't want Brittany included because Jax could have got it out of her. I do get what he means because I can see that she has a soft spot for that. But I also, I get that she was upset that she couldn't like help because she would have loved to have helped. But that was like, that's good, like petty drama. Like, I don't care. That's fine. Like, people were making such a big deal about it and like getting mad at Brittany and being like, oh my God, she couldn't be happy for her friend. I'm like, she's happy for her friend, but like, this is good reality TV shit, And then she comes in and makes fun of the decorations. Like, I could have also done this better, but that's fine, whatever. Because it really looked tacky as hell. Not like Brittany would have made it less tacky. So let's be honest. But I think that's fair. She was upset about it. But then when Janet doesn't go to the dinner afterwards, it was like too responsible or something. I don't know. It was like, oh, that's kind of lame because now we're not going to get anything. And I kind of would have loved to have Kristen be like, fuck you, Janet, why are you even here in the middle of the dinner? I don't know. But then because Janet's like, I'm a quitter. And I think she talks about this in the after show. And I'm like, yeah, that's the problem, actually. That is the problem. Like, we need people who are going to show up and they're going to power through. But she's always walking out. She's always leaving. She's always done, like, whatever. And so I'm like, what am I even watching for? You know, Nia is so sweet, but she's so sweet. So sweet. And it's kind of weird watching Kristen around her because I swear Kristen's like kind of trying to pretend like she can be that sweet. But I'm like, Kristen, you're not. Like, that's why we like you. But Nia and Danny are just like, they're so sweet. So I don't know. Maybe this show isn't that great. Because again, once you start saying the word Jax to me, I'm done. And that was kind of the big, not draw, but sort of. And Jax must be listed as like a producer or something on this show. I don't know, because for some reason they are trying to shove him down our throats no matter what. But we're like, get him out of here, please. That's all I got. That's all I really have. Next week we'll get more, and we'll get more into stuff. And if I miss anything, I'll add it to next week. But this episode was kind of not my fave. Not like any of them have been, though, to be fair. Not like none of the episodes this season have been great. I brace myself when I go in to watch The Valley. I'm like, and here we go. It's going to hurt. So maybe maybe it's just the show. Anywho's, okay. All right. I love you guys so much. Mean it. And I'll see you on Sunday for the wrap-up. Weekly wrap-up. Kendrick and I are back at it this Sunday. Okay? Bye. Thanks for tuning in to She's Speaking with Emily Hanks. This show is produced, hosted, and edited by me, Emily, and brought to you in partnership with Cloud 10 Media. If you are looking for bonus content, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. To show some support, you can hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Another free way to support the pod, please rate and/or review on whatever platform you listen. It's free, and it helps the algorithm or something. You can also head to buymeacoffee.com/shespeaks and buy me a coffee or two. Make sure you're following me on all social medias. I am She's Speaking with Emily Hanks across all platforms: Threads, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. That's it. Thank you guys. See you soon.